Today is Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. I'm Diane Sare, independent candidate for the U.S. presidency, and I have launched a new campaign initiative as of a conversation I held Monday night with a group of campaign activists from all over the nation. The theme of this campaign is Make Crazy Crazy Again. Now, at first, this may perplex you, but I would like to explain what I'm getting at. This was inspired by the following letter from President Donald Trump to the Prime Minister of Norway. Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China, and why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago, but we had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding, and now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President DJT. Now, that letter is insane. That letter looks like it came out of a children's storybook for 3-year-olds in nursery school. It is not fitting of the President of the United States. Not only is the tone insane, the premise insane, the threat, it's all wrong. Now, is anybody saying that that is insane? Some people are. The Europeans don't like it. But who in the US Congress is standing up? Who in Trump's cabinet? People are acting like the villagers. If you remember the story about the emperor's new suit of clothes, where by Hans Christian Andersen, the emperor was very vain and he changed his clothes for every occasion. He had about 8 suits for every day. And so a group of crafty tailors came to town and said, we can make some money off this guy. They said, we're going to make you an incredible new suit of clothes. And anyone who can't see the clothes, you will know is unfit for their position. They will appear as invisible to people who aren't fit for their job or their post in your kingdom. So the emperor was very pleased with this. So the tailors came out, and of course, there was nothing there. Everything was invisible, but it didn't exist. They were pretending to cut into the air and sew with invisible needles. And the emperor, who himself could see nothing, but he didn't want them to think he was unfit, pretended that he could see these clothes and that they were just magnificent. And the word went out to everyone that if you can't see them, you're going to be fired because you're not fit for your post. So everyone came in and they admired the suit, which wasn't there. And they said, oh, the cloth is so beautiful. The fabric is magnificent. And someone said, well, it's a beautiful shade of red. And, oh, I thought it was blue. And so it went until one day the emperor marched out and had a parade and was marching naked in front of the entire kingdom. And it was a child who pointed out that he was actually naked, and the buzz went around, he's naked, he's naked. Now, Hans Christian Andersen also gets at something very fundamental, not my topic here, but when everyone realized that he was naked, did they cart him off to the mental ward? No, he continued marching, and the town went along with it. So we now have a situation where we have a president who is certifiably insane, and everybody is acting as if this is normal. This is not normal. That's why I'm saying we have to make crazy, crazy again. 80 years ago, people would have laughed at this. Maybe even 50 years ago, people would have said, what is this? This is nuts. But now we have no standard. And I'm going to show you there are other such demonstrations of this. Here we have Scotty Bessent signing a mineral rights agreement with Ukraine. Now, first of all, Ukraine is just being, there are over 1 million dead Ukrainian soldiers. The United States has no interest in the well-being of the people of Ukraine. A lot of the minerals that Bessent thinks he's going to be grabbing are in parts of Ukraine, which former parts of Ukraine, which now are parts of the Russian Federation, and which voted, the people living there voted to rejoin the Russian Federation because the Ukrainian leadership has certain pro-fascist proclivities, NAZI proclivities, where they were targeting, bombing, killing Russian-speaking ethnicities in the eastern part of Ukraine. Bessent gave a speech at Davos, which was completely disconnected from reality, where he spoke about the fabulous economic recovery going on in the United States. That doesn't exist. Yeah, the price of gasoline is down at the pump, which, believe me, is not because we kidnapped the president of Venezuela, although maybe Trump is saying that is. But what is the cost of food, utilities, rent, mortgages, insurance, healthcare, which doesn't exist because we're shutting down hospitals everywhere? What's the condition of your roads? The U.S. cattle herd is at the lowest point in 70 years. Our economy is on the cusp of a total collapse. But he's there making that crazy speech. I can assure you that God does not agree with him, and that will be evident soon. And just so people are very clear, this is not a partisan matter. Some of you may remember this guy. I'm sure he doesn't remember you. I don't think he can remember much of anything. Joe Biden. We had a president in office for 4 years who was suffering dementia. And it was obvious. He got lost walking off the stage, and everybody around him pretended that he was normal. That is not normal. And that is why I am making a point of my new campaign, Make Crazy Crazy Again. I hope that you will join me in this effort to restore sanity to the United States of America.